you care, but I don't know. Your words can't shake my bones, though I'm stronger than you know. Your fire can't melt my soul, no, no.
Do a little chatting.
Yep.
Piss a few people off. A lot more than a few, probably. Everyone.
We're going to piss a lot of people off, but I think we're going to also make a lot of people happy because we're going to say what they
everybody's
want to
thinking,
say,
I
what they're
feel.
thinking. We're going to say the quiet part out loud.
If you don't find something to relate to, like, get out of here.
Get out.
Look right in the eyes. Get out.
Out.
I'm just kidding.
Bye.
In the shadows, I found my light. In the chaos, I found my fight.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered and Unfazed. I'm your host, Tessa.
I'm Heather.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. Sorry, the child and husband were in here.
That's so funny.
Okay, they're gone. Okay, they're gone now.
Oh my gosh, now we can actually be ourselves. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so today's episode, June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Correct.
Lots of things going on in June, but that's what we're talking about
Right.
today.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, we were kind of talking outside.
Yeah.
You're like, people.
You want any Chick-fil-A, Tessa?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Are you sure? You're like on
Yeah.
camera. You're like,
No, I'm like, well, I thought about it, but I was like, it's probably gonna hurt my tummy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Change your mind.
Okay.
Thank you.
I get the cool wrap.
Oh, that's smart
yeah.
to get. Yeah. I'll think about it.
Okay. Think about it.
Yeah. So outside we were talking about
Like checking on your friends,
yeah.
which I agree with too.
Yeah.
And,
Absolutely. Yeah. And I just think that it's important for like, I know that like there's like this whole stigma on like men and stuff, and it's like you grow up like don't be a baby, this, that, whatever, blah 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 blah. Like I just think that it's important to have friendships, to have like male friendships, and then also like actually check on your friends.
Yeah.
Like if you haven't like, if all you do is play video games and then, like talk shit and like whatever, and you don't know anything that's going on in your friend's life, like you don't know who they're dating, you don't know who, like, and I mean, you don't have to know everything, obviously.
Right. And according to Tyler, men don't really talk like that.
Right. And it's like, why not? Like every guy that I've ever talked to as like a friend, like that has entered like best friendship or whatever, or even just regular friendship, it's like, it feels like I'm the only person, or I'm the first person that's like asking them like, how's your day?
Well, that's because you're a woman.
Well, yeah. And I'm like, what the heck?
Turn off the jellyfish.
Yeah, okay.
The jellyfish have to die for the episode. There's
turn
something. It's that. Yeah, just unplug it. Our
talks.
jellyfish are having to die this episode, but
Yeah.
so
I'm just kidding.
yeah. Okay, go ahead.
But yeah, so I just think that it's like really important for men to check on each other. Like,
Yeah.
like I know that like obviously like right now in America, like we're facing one of the highest like male loneliness epidemics that like has ever been or like ever reported on. And it's just so sad to see like so many people that could be there for each other, but that are so like stuck in self-isolation because like, oh, who could I talk to? Literally, you know what I learned by talking to people is that everybody goes through the same shit.
Right. Everybody's going through something or has gone through something or will go through something. Like
aside from like crazy things, like if you're having like, if you're having thoughts of like harming yourself or harming others or anything like that, then you need to talk to a therapist. You need to go get help. Like,
yeah.
You need to.
Yeah.
But
don't rely on your friends to check on you instead of going and having some accountability for yourself and seeking something.
Exactly. And the other part of that is also that like a lot of times, like I know I'm guilty of this, like of putting up a front and being like, I'm strong. I don't want people to know that I'm going through something. They won't. Yeah. They won't know. You have to speak up. Like it's the only option. And yeah, sure, you're going to face some rejection. Some people are going to be like, I don't have time, this, that, whatever.
100%.
But you have to do it. Like, and it's so sad because just knowing that literally like what is it like? I think the statistic is like, it's like 7 or 8 minutes. 7 or 8 minutes. That's all it takes to literally like change someone's entire perspective.
Right.
Like having a phone call conversation that's like 7 or 8 minutes long. That's enough to like have someone come off the ledge. That's enough to like, but then also that's enough for you as the person who is experiencing like maybe you're having depressing thoughts or maybe you're thinking about hurting yourself or anything like that. It takes only that 7 or 8 minutes conversation with a friend to feel hope.
or maybe pull you out of it. You're like, wait a minute.
Exactly. And so
let me not do something irrational.
Right. 100%. And I know that our audience isn't primarily men, but I do know that men will listen. And it's like,
well, and it could strike a woman that
exactly
is dealing, like we have a lot of women that have men in law enforcement, veterans, first responders, men with PTSD, which it's a whole different animal to deal with.
Right.
So, and there's PTSD that, you can acquire just not being a first responder or veteran.
Right. Absolutely. But I mean, especially a lot of people that are specifically involved in that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so those jobs and jobs like those being very, very difficult, you see crazy stuff. Like you see stuff that like literally like are banned on the internet. Like you can't see these kind of things. Like, I mean, you can on the internet now, but that's a whole other story. Twitter, but that's like, it's not something that people should see in their day-to-day lives.
Right, and their day-to-day, everyday life.
It's like having to watch a horror film, like every single time it's like having to watch like a scary horror film.
Right.
Like a gory. It's like having to watch Saw every time you go into work.
Yeah. And I know I saw one of his friends post that there's been like a lot of suicides, especially in certain agencies or certain departments where, it could be the pressure that's being put on them by the administration or supervisors.
Well, and also society now.
Yeah. And society, like, I just think especially men have a lot of pressure to provide, to be strong, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
But we're also doing a violent jump from where a while there, society, men were not really being pushed to do that. And now all of a sudden they're back to being pushed to do that again.
Right.
So it's like, we need to find that happy medium where that's just kind of the standard.
Right.
Because like, that's what it used to be. It used to be, men provided, and I'm not saying everybody has to do it that way.
Right.
But men provided and, women nurtured and took care of the home.
Right.
And so that was kind of the expectation, but now men are like drowning.
Right.
And there's now women, like we were talking about, women's expectation for men is not the same, because we have all these ghetto ass bitches that are like, my man better make 6 figures or I'm not even going to date him. I'm not even going to talk to him. You see those interviews on the street?
Yeah. I'm like, gross. Like, and don't get me wrong. I want my man to be doing well and teamed up together.
Goals
we're
and
going to be doing well.
Yeah.
That's a non-issue. The issue is the entitlement with lack of drive.
Yeah. And the requirement, like I saw those interviews are always funny, and I think they obviously post the ones that are going to be
like the outrageous ones.
And a lot of the women are saying things like that, like they're ghetto, they're like, I make like $20,000 a year, but my man better make 200,000 and he better drive this and he better buy me this and he better take me here and he better take me there. And it's like, girl, you need to humble yourself for a second and bring it back down.
I'm sorry, but like, if you can't afford to take yourself somewhere, then why would a man want to?
Right.
Like, and I'm not even being like, oh, you're broke, you ain't shit. But like, honestly, like, be so for real with yourself. Like, like if you're wanting like a father, I get that. But if you're looking for a husband and a partner, it's not the same.
Like,
that's not
what
that
is like build each other up, not you better do this, you better do that.
It's team effort. It's team building.
So with that being said, with the men's mental health and, all of that, trigger warning, we do have to give trigger warnings. This episode does have to do with suicide. It does have to do with some brutal stuff. It does have to do with a lot of trauma. So if you don't want to hear about that and you don't want to hear my story specifically, which involves, domestic violence, suicide, severe trauma, then don't.
Right.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to watch it. The people that know us that don't want to hear the story don't need to listen. The people that do know part of the story or, want to hear the story, they can. This story is my story, though.
Right. Yes.
I'm telling it from my perspective. So therefore, other people that are involved in the story, like family members or other, our children, they're all going to be respected. And I'm not going to tell it from their point of view or their experience. It's my experience.
Right.
And for once, it's about me.
Right. Exactly.
Because, I spent a long time making it about him.
Yeah.
And naturally.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But there does have to be some accountability for people's actions.
Right.
And things that they chose to do. It took me a long time and a lot of therapy to be like, it's not my fault. So, you know, we talked about checking on your friends and everything. I 100% support that, and being there for your friends and showing them like, hey, somebody cares about you.
Yeah.
But also understanding that if that doesn't work and that person takes zero accountability for their actions and refuses to go get help or refuses to accept help, you can't blame yourself.
Right.
You just can't blame yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is I think there is a lack of accountability when it comes to suicide, because it's such a tragic, horrific thing. That it's like, how could we put this on the person that felt the need to take their life? But with that being said, they're not having to deal with the aftermath. We are. Or the people that are left behind.
Exactly.
So, you know, with that being said, I'm going to share my story, and, you know, Tessa is going to share her experience with, you know, even her own personal experience with having those feelings. So again, if you don't want to hear about this, or it's too triggering for you, totally understand. Just don't listen. Don't put yourself through that.
Especially
it's really not
like
necessary.
some of my friends don't like this was like, I don't talk about
not
it
everybody
too much,
knows about this,
but not everybody knows about this.
Yeah,
So
it's hard.
It's like,
and you know, but our goal in this episode is to not just spread awareness, but to show there is light at the end of the tunnel. And there is the other side to feeling that way, and there is the other side to the people that were left in shambles and left to pick up the pieces.
100%.
You can get to the other side also. So it's also, you know, about hope. So, and if you are having any kind of feelings or, you know, thoughts, do not hesitate to reach out to somebody. Call the hotline. Do what you need to do. Admit yourself into a hospital if you need to. There's no shame in that.
Yeah. Because if you're sitting in your body and your body is telling you die, something is wrong and you need to go get help. Like, that's not a normal thought. That's
humans have a natural urge to live and drive to live.
Exactly. So if you are naturally going against that and you're like, I want to die, like, whether it is, you know, your circumstances or whatever, like, you need to go get help. Like, it is your responsibility to go get help.
It is your thank you. It is your responsibility. Or at least to reach out to someone to say, I am not okay. I need help. So, so my story, basically, my 3.5-year-old father, he took his life in front of myself and our 3.5-year-old. This was in 2022. And he did do it by gunshot to the head. So, like I said, we are going to talk about things. I'm not going to go into, you know, all the details because they're not necessary for the story.
And some things are, they're not necessary to the story. That's a great way to put it.
So, you know, there was a lot leading up to it. And again, like, all that stuff doesn't matter. No. I mean, this was an on and off again relationship for the better part of over 8 years. You know, a lot of trauma involved there. There was physical, mental, emotional abuse. We both got toxic because I was, you know, surviving. And again, I'm not going to do this whole blame game and bash him. And, you know, it is what it is. It was all part of our journey. And, you know, there was definitely times where after so long of hearing that somebody is going to do that or wants to do that or they use it as a scare tactic. You don't necessarily get desensitized, but you're like, they're not going to do it.
Like, you don't actually believe that they're going to actually pull the trigger, take the pill, do the thing.
Exactly. So, you know, there was a lot of back and forth and and, you know, I shared that story last time where that lady said, God healed our relationship and, you know, it worked and I stayed and he has another child with somebody he cheated on me with. Like, you know, that's all wonderful and beautiful. But sometimes, you know, leaving is strength. And
I agree.
I never had the strength and I didn't have faith. I didn't have, you know, he was into dark stuff, really dark stuff. And again, I'll leave it at that. But I didn't have faith. I didn't have confidence. People would say, oh yeah, you did. No, I didn't. No, because when you're
there's
told
a difference between a front and
on a regular basis too, let me tell you, You know, when you're dealing with somebody that, you know, we believe he had like borderline personality disorder, it's called the love-hate. I don't know if you know anything about that.
A little.
It's called the love-hate personality disorder because one day they literally, their life is wonderful. You're the most beautiful, wonderful thing that's ever happened to them.
Right.
Everything's wonderful. Like they just can't believe how grateful they are for everything they have. And the next day is literally, they despise you.
Like polar opposite.
They despise the world. They despise life. Never said despise their kids. I don't know if people do, but he never did that.
Right.
So, again, this is my story. So I'm going to leave, you know, I can't speak for him.
Right. Exactly.
So, you know, I can't. However, I'm not, like I said, I don't want to like bash him, but I will tell the facts.
Right. Yeah.
Which, you know, may be hard for some people to hear.
Exactly.
You know, and this might not be the place to give like all the details.
Yeah.
So, but you know, there was abuse and on both parts. I feel like I became toxic and just very, you know, I would tell you like checking Instagram and seeing what new girl was being followed. Like I became like engulfed in that life.
Right.
So, you know, towards the end, he showed signs that were not normal and I knew, and I reached out to people. And so I did as much as I could. I mentioned him going like to like getting committed somewhere essentially because the behavior was off and it was up and down and it was, I don't really know how to explain it because it wasn't off enough to be like frightened, I guess you could say, but something was definitely wrong.
Right.
I reached out to some friends didn't respond.
Yeah.
So again, it's not their fault.
No.
And there was a period of time where I was angry with them.
Right.
But at the same time, I think they were, you know, some of them were tired of it too.
Yeah. Well, I understand. It's like, cause you know, I've been in crazy stuff too. And then also like my mom, I didn't even think like, I mean, she's attempted multiple times. And
really?
Stuff. Yeah. And when you were talking about like you become desensitized to it, I was like, yeah, like honestly, like, yeah, because at some point it's like, okay, yeah, I'm sure you will. You're just trying to like make me cry.
It becomes
like
normalized.
It's like it's just something that they say. Like, and so it's really difficult to like.
Is this the time?
Right? Is this finally going to be the time? And especially because it's like the boy who cries wolf. You know what I mean? Like you're crying wolf because there is a wolf, but then when people get there, he's not a wolf anymore. Yeah. And it's like, no, I swear he was a wolf. Right. He was a wolf. Like he's just not a wolf right now. Right. Like, and so, you know, it's just, it's difficult. It's like, it's
which
hard
then leads me down to the, you know, I can't drive this home enough. Like please don't blame yourself if you can't stop somebody from doing this. I'm not saying to not try.
Right.
So I don't want people to misconstrue that. But at the same time, you know, at some point there sometimes does need to be tough love. And again, I can't give advice to people. They'll be like, oh my gosh, I did this and the person, you know, did it anyways. But that's my point. You know, something my therapist who has, I think she said like 30 years under her belt, very, God gave her to me. I 100% believe that. I needed somebody with experience. Yeah. And she, in her 30 years, said she had never heard a story like this. Yeah. It does exist. I actually found a girl that went through the same exact thing. Yeah. And I have two other friends that are going to come on probably on the next episode to tell their stories and how they also got to the other side. And they were not suicidal. They were also the spouse of somebody that took their life. Right. The only difference was it happened, you know, I happened to see it happen. Right. So that's where, you know, the little difference comes in. And again, the other girl, she did see it also. Right. Which, you know, there were some people really angry with that person, with him saying, how could he do that to his child? Right. How could he do that? And I was defensive in the beginning. I was very defensive. Like I had to protect that. I had to protect him. I felt embarrassed almost like, oh my God, this is after all this is how this ended. Right. Yeah. Without like, I turned it into like a saving the, putting him on a pedestal almost. Right.
Well, also it's saving the reputation of him to your kid.
Exactly. And just to the world.
Because I mean, he's a baby. He doesn't need to know all of those things.
Because some people were really sensitive and like, you know, oh my gosh. And some people were like, he did what? Like I had a friend of his that was like, are you like very angry with him?
Yeah.
And like with God, and was like, this doesn't sit well with me.
Right.
That he did that in front of you and Logan.
Right.
If he wanted to do that, like, but then there's parts of me, you know, there's so many layers. There's parts of me that were people were like, I think he wanted somebody to see it, or he wanted not necessarily to like hurt the person, but like know what happened. This is what happened. I chose to do this. I was in charge of my fate type thing.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
Right.
And
exactly.
I can't, like, that was one of those things I had to learn to be like, I will never know. And I did the whys, the what ifs. Oh, what if I said something different? What if I like, you know, forced him to go?
Right.
And you can't, somebody
like
that.
what is it in my behavior of today that finally made it like, and you'll dissect that.
Oh, I dissected it.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. I dissected like the
whole
last
entire
8
day.
years.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh. What if I, you know, didn't, he told me to come home to get Logan. So I knew something was really wrong at that point. What if I didn't? But then people say, exactly, what if you didn't come get him?
Right. Yeah.
I could have, you know, this is really hard for me to say, but my son Bradley was on his way home and he says, Mom, I'm at the gym. And I knew something was so wrong. Like there was no, like nothing was happening at that point. I was at work.
Right.
But he was texting me some weird stuff, like just saying like, I'm really overwhelmed. And I was like, what? You know, like everything's going to be okay. Yeah. And even the cops read my text messages and were like, you were being so supportive. And I was like, but was I not supportive enough? Like you will dissect it no matter what. You could literally do everything right.
Yeah.
And so I had told my son, I said, and I don't know why, except for the feeling of a mom. I told him, why don't you take your time at the gym? Yeah. I said, just hang back. He was with his girlfriend who he's still with now. Right. And something told me to tell him to like, just take his time. Yeah. And you know, there's parts of me that were like, maybe I did do all the right things because my son could have come home and found his whole family dead. Right. So, you know, there's parts of me that I'm like, whatever I did didn't stop him. Right. But I lived and Logan lived. Yeah. And it could have been much worse. Right. Because I know that there was some kind of anger in him because I saw it in his eyes and I saw it in his face. And I remember him before he walked out of the house, him, you know, racking it. And we had firearms and I thought to myself, I was calm. There was no, like I said, there was no like yelling. He was acting bizarre though. Right. He was like, I'm going to the gym. I'm not going to the gym. He was like pacing around and I was kind of like, and I did finally say like, what is going on with you? Like, and anyways, when he did that, I thought to myself, I did not think to myself, he's going to go kill himself. I literally was like, how do I live at this point? Right. I was like, whatever it is, like that's going on in his head is not right. Right. So I don't know if he's having like delusions. Like that's how off he was. Like I was like, so how do I make sure me and Logan remain alive at this point? Yeah,
like survive. Yeah. Like, yeah.
So, I mean, you know, I said, let Logan, let's go. And, you know, he said, I'm going to go for a walk. Like, he took off to go for a walk. And I was like, okay, fine. That's good. Go cool off. Because that's what he did often is go for a walk. Right. It wasn't even like go for a drive. He left his keys behind. Yeah. Now, what struck me is he left his wallet, everything behind. And I said, okay, that's still good because he's just going to go walk the neighborhood. Right. Cool down. Yeah. Whatever's going on because he seemed very agitated. Yeah. And so he took off. Fine. I said, okay, Logan, get your shoes on. We're putting our shoes on. We're outside in front of the house. And I thought, this is good. This is a good outcome. Right. Everybody's fine. He's, you know, at this point, I do know he has firearm on him. Right. That's not uncommon. He never left the house without one. Right. So I'm still not alarmed. I'm alarmed that he cocked it, but I think that was a scare tactic. Like, right. You know, but still, even things like that didn't alarm me. When you're going through domestic violence for so long, like, that was like nothing. Right. That was literally nothing. You loaded a
gun, but you didn't hit me, thank God.
I was like, and I'm like, he did shit like that all the time.
Yeah, that's
nothing. So again, you know, people might say, why didn't you call the cops? Let me tell you why. That would have resulted in death by suicide by cop. Yeah. I'm telling you right now. It would have been a way worse situation. It would have been a shootout. Other people could have been hurt. Right. You know, there could have been innocent officers that could have been hurt.
And it's more likely that he would have
he would have for
taken
sure
it out on you and
100%. If they showed up, he would have either done something to us. There would have been, in the state of mind he was in, he had said things like that. So now I'm risking other people, and that wouldn't have stopped anything. And now I will have for sure forever been like, oh, wow, cool. That was my fault. If I didn't call. So, you know, I'm not advising not to do that, but read the situation. Know, you know.
Obviously be like,
keep safety.
Do what you need to do to
do what
survive.
you need to do. Yeah.
Like,
when you're now at the point of survival and other people at risk, you know. But again, I wasn't thinking that he was going to do that.
No, yeah.
So I knew that if I did that, he would. But at that point, I was like, I knew, like, again, I knew there was something off that day, but I really didn't know. Obviously, if anybody knew, this conversation probably wouldn't have been happening. But so I know that, you know, we're outside getting the shoes on, and really, I was just like, I felt a little shaken up because of the whole situation, but I was like, all right, let's go to work. Another day in the office. Like, this was my normal life. This was not anything different. This is a normal, everyday occurrence every other day. You know, what you talked about with
at least multiple times a week. We're
not saying names, but your, you know, other abusive situation. It was so normal. Like how you're like, we broke up like every week, like every day.
No, literally. It would be like,
kind of
I hate you. You're so
issue.
Stupid. You dumb bitch.
And
what
it's
do you want
sad
for dinner?
because that comes normal. But hold on here. I'm not playing a victim card. And I know you're not playing a victim card.
Absolutely not.
Because it happens. And you don't, you look at yourself and you're like, why the fuck did I allow that? I had a friend that was dealing with that shit. I'd be like, dude, what are you doing? But when you're in it.
Because it's that, like, it's almost like you said, the protecting the reputation thing, but it's also protecting my own reputation.
100%. You're almost a little bit embarrassed.
I'm embarrassed
shamed.
that I would do something like this or be around something like this for so long.
Because then you have people on Instagram posting, you know, I stuck it through. God saved my marriage. So there's this extreme on each side where I'm like, don't just leave a relationship, fight for it, work on it. But when you're dealing with straight abuse,
you need to get out of there.
You need to reevaluate or say, let's separate and figure ourselves out. Or, you know, whatever you want to do what you want to do. You know, at this point, I'm like, you know what? At this point, do whatever the fuck you want to do.
I think, like, a period of separation is needed. Like, at least a week.
And you'll see then, because if me and him would separate, he'd have a fucking full-blown relationship within 3 days with somebody.
Which is insane.
So, there's a difference between, hey, I'm working on myself. Let's do this. Let's, you know. That's different. And so that'll tell you,
break from my relationship, let me go cheat.
Like, let me have a full-blown live-in relationship with somebody else multiple times.
Insane.
So, you know, again, we're doing the shoes, goes for a walk. All of a sudden I look up and he's standing there, and I was like, but he was calm. Too calm. Eerily calm. And you know, he's looking at us, and he kind of was looking at Logan more. I feel like he was addressing me through Logan. Because he was like, oh, you know, if I can't take you to the park later, I'm sorry. Because he had promised to take him to the park. And I was kind of like, in my head, I'm going, oh gosh, where is he going to be? He's not going to be, I guess he's taken off. Like, I'm thinking all these other thoughts at this point. I'm still like, no fucking way, dude. And there's parts that black out. And, you know, it took a lot, because like I did EMDR and like some stuff resurfaced, but there's parts that I don't remember. And I try to, and then I'll remember them, and then I like, they're hazy. But, you know, I think I was like, I don't know if I said like what I said to him, but which I guess it doesn't matter. But I think I was like, okay, Logan, or if he doesn't take you, I'll take you. Like something like, like it wasn't like a heated exchange.
No.
So I'm actually thinking like, we're in the clear. Everybody's good. Either we're going to come home later and he's going to be like, fine. Or, you know, maybe he'll go for a drive, like whatever. So he's standing there looking at us. And I will say he looked a little empty. Like his eyes looked a little empty. Which again wasn't uncommon. So he turned around and took like 2 steps, and then just boom.
In your front yard?
So now,
my God.
So now we're left with a public spectacle. So there's a lot of layers here. That's what my therapist said. She's like, the layers that we have going on here are so intense because there's the element of shock.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I went like, what the fuck? Like, I immediately jumped into getting to him because,
right.
you know, there was a little bit of distance.
Yeah.
So I run and I see the situation, which I know is not good.
Right.
And I screamed so loud that there was people that heard it. There was 31 911 calls. The people that were painting the house next door come running. There's a chaotic scene. Mind you, there is a 3.5-year-old standing there, probably scared shitless.
Right.
But I'm in the mode of like shock. And so I'm screaming, somebody help us. And at that point, I knew. Mm-hmm. I knew.
Well, yeah.
But like wasn't for sure. So
right.
I went and like, you know, assessed even more. But I was like, what if I move him and like mess something up?
Right.
Like what if
yeah.
there's a chance?
Yeah.
So I didn't do anything.
Right.
Which they were like, no, there was zero chance. It
right.
was
right.
full in and out.
Right.
Went into the garage that he was standing in front of.
Oh my God.
So again, I knew that.
Yeah,
I knew
yeah.
that. You know when you know. There's no
right.
like confusion there. So, you know, there's neighbors running out. There's another neighbor that ran out who's I thought almost more like traumatized at that moment because I shut down. Like at that point,
right.
my brain was like, whoop.
Yeah, because your brain does that to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's people over here screaming. There's people over here. I look up and I look at Logan because he was on the deck. Mm-hmm. And immediately your brain goes, okay, that situation is, there's nothing I can do right there.
Right.
And I'm looking at Logan who's sitting there looking between the slats of the railing on the patio, holding his blanket, screaming, "Daddy." Yeah. So I go, okay, I need to get that child.
Yeah.
I run over and grab him, and as I'm running towards him, he's trying to run to the front door, and he can't even open the door. His hands are like not working at that point.
Right.
And he's trying to open the door. So he's like, I want to go inside. And I'm like, it's okay. You're okay. Everything's okay.
Right.
And I grabbed him and I look and I see my neighbor, Brittany, bless her heart, and the neighbor next to her. And they're just looking at me. And I literally went like this, and she grabbed him and cradled him because I was like, he cannot be out here for this.
No.
And they took him in the house, and he still says they gave me goldfish, they put on SpongeBob. Like, he remembers everything. So I am so grateful for them. Like, people, like the community and neighborhood, like,
right.
jumped into action.
Right.
Jumped into action.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, with that being said, there's all this aftermath. There's cops everywhere. I'm being interrogated.
Right. After you
They
just
don't know what happened.
Exactly.
This could have been a fight that we got into, and I decided to do this.
You decided this was the last
I'm being
straw.
interrogated. They're going through phones. They're going through my Ring camera footage, which very quickly they were like, okay, this is what happened. And now they're going from interrogating me to consoling me, which I at that point was in complete shock. I'm not even crying.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there, like, I had my hands on like the railing of the stairs, and I'm just sitting there. I sat there for like 5 hours.
Yeah.
And the officer was like, please let me give you some water. It's hot. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Right.
I was like, I just want to sit here. And they were like, can we get you a chair? I'm like, I want to sit here.
Right.
Like, I was like, I want to sit here.
I don't want to move at all.
I am not moving.
Right.
Ever. Like, I literally was
Right.
like, I'm never moving from this spot.
Right.
Because I asked them at one point, I go, am I over there?
Yeah.
And he's like, what? And I remember there was a female officer that was just
yeah.
an angel sent from above. She was so cool. But I was like, am I over there with him? And they were like, no, you're alive. I was like, are you sure? Like, I was like, am I having an out-of-body experience watching this all happen? I was like,
Yeah.
I'm probably like over there dead.
Yeah.
Like, because you feel numb. I was like, I don't feel my body. I don't feel my air going into my lungs. Like, I was like, I feel, which is obviously shock.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Which I never knew what shock. You know, people say like, oh, you break your arm and you don't feel it.
Yeah.
Like, I get that.
Right.
But I never understood what actual shock was.
Like, you don't feel anything.
You don't feel anything, and even emotion.
Right.
You're completely like, I mean, people started showing up. It started going around. My boss, who was also, my best friend, she showed up. Another friend found out. Summer, she showed up. So they're there. Like, people are showing up, and I'm still sitting there, and they're like freaking out, and I'm just like, I don't even know what the F just happened.
Right.
Like, I'm still processing what just happened, because your brain, with PTSD, your brain is never prepared for certain things, even like in the military, which I will never compare any of this to. But in those situations where you're like, your brain's kind of like, okay, I could see some fucked up shit.
Right.
But in a situation where you're not ready to see some fucked up shit and some fucked up shit happens, or you see it, your brain has to shut off.
Right. 100%. It does because you'll go crazy. Like you don't
literally. My therapist is like, people could
break. You'll break.
Die.
Yeah.
like you could literally, like, your heart will. Yeah. It's too much. Your blood pressure will go up. Like your brain that is a 100% survival mechanism.
Yeah.
That people go into and just shut off because your body can't even handle that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think I've told you before. Like, I have that thing. Where, like, once my body gets to a certain stress level, it just all dissipates, because if it gets more than that, then I literally will, like, have a panic attack. Yeah,
like, that's survival because of you had to survive,
right? Exactly. You too, like that. I mean,
in that moment, yes.
Yeah,
but like, you adapted how to, overcome these situations.
Right. Yeah, 100%.
Which then leads me to ask, when you felt that way, was there something going on at that time, or you just felt that way?
Like, for me, myself personally, yeah. So okay, so where do I start? The first time I ever legitimately contemplated, I was 14 years old. Which is called
ideation, so people know, which are common. It's when you start to really think.
Right. It's when you start to plan is when it starts to go into a different thing, right? So I was having well, I was 9 when my grandma passed away, and I'm the one that found her. So, like, that's
trauma.
A lot. That's really a lot of trauma. And then, so I was 14, and I had been, like, having suicidal ideations probably from the time I was 9, but just but not like I want to kill myself. More like what if I die? What if this? Like, what would my family be okay? Like, and I was just so obsessed with death because I'd seen it at a young age. And then it wasn't until I was like 14, that's the first time I ever, I didn't attempt, but I literally, actually, it's a crazy story, so I'll just say it. So I was 14. What was going on at my home life at the time, my mom was a drug dealer. Yeah. We had several people over at our house all the time, all hours of the day and night. We lived in a trap house. It was a lot. It was chaos. It was crazy. Some of the people, I'm 14 years old. Some of the people at my home that my mom is engaging in this behavior with are 18. So they're like base. I go to school with some of them, like, and it's like crazy. And I'm like, I can't.
There's no age for addicts and drug dealers. I'm telling you, it's like there's like 40-year-olds that hang out with like 19-year-olds because they're all in that same mentality and mental space.
100%. And so I was really, really struggling, because the biggest part about me is, like, I was so ashamed that that's where I came from, because in school I'm starting on basketball, I'm making straight A's, I'm literally like the ideal student. No, literally. And then I'd go home and I literally live at a trap house. So it's like the duality of the two. And then when it was people that were at my school, I couldn't lie anymore. I couldn't be like, no, my mom's not like this, like, no, because then they're gonna go and they're gonna be like, oh yeah, we be at Tessa's house, blah 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 blah, like, her mom is this and this and this, and I can't be like, no, you're not, like, I can't,
you're there.
No, I see you there all the time. And it was shortly after, like, I saw my mom, like, shoot up for the first time. Like, I had known that she had done it for a while, but I had a stepdad, and he really did keep us protected for a long time from that kind of stuff. Like, if my mom was going to do something like that, he would always arrange an activity, so, like, we were either not, like, in the immediate vicinity, or we weren't even home at all. So when I first saw her do that, my stepdad he was in jail because he probation violation. So stupid. But so it was the first time I ever saw her do it, and I could not get the image out of my mind, and I couldn't get it out of my head. Yeah, that was going to be me. I'm like, that's going to happen to me. Like, if I don't, like, I don't know what to do to, I really wanted to, like, also make her stop. Like, you need to understand the severity of your actions and stuff like that. So I had access to pills all the time because my mom's a drug dealer. And so our bathroom was stocked full of like Lorax, what is it? Loratab?
I don't
Xanax?
Xanax?
I know Xanax for sure. But there was another one. That was like, I think it's called Loratab. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 90%. But, so I literally was like, okay, I know when I'm going to do it. I know how it's going to go.
See, now you've
like,
passed ideation.
Exactly.
So I think that's important
that.
for people to know. There's stages. There's, ideation, which can be harmless. And they say that 90% of people have had it. You have a bad day at work, or you're a young teen and you're like, dude, F this, I'm leaving this place. I don't want to be alive. Or, there's kids that it's like something stupid.
Right.
Ideations are, while normal, are not to be ignored.
Right.
But you've now, once I have done a lot of research on suicide. Once you've now thought of a plan or how, you've now gone to another stage.
Right.
And if you have the means to do the plan, which you had access to pills. So if somebody's like, I'm going to, do this, and they have a firearm or they have pills or they have whatever they need to do it. Yeah. Now we are in a serious situation.
Exactly. And it is. And so that's what it turned into. So I literally, like, because we had like a handheld phone for the house. So I took the phone, I went to the bathroom, I got the pills, I put them in my hand. I literally was like sitting in the bathtub, about to call 911, take these pills, because I didn't want anyone to find me. Yeah. Because my brother and sister were at their dad's for the weekend. My mom was like passed out because she had been on a bender, like all of this stuff. And so I was like, this is exactly how I'm going to do it. Heather, I'm not joking. This will happen. I pick up the phone. Oh God. I get the water. I'm about to call 911, and all of a sudden the phone starts ringing. And I was like, oh, I guess I better answer it. So I answer the phone and I was like, hello? No kidding. It was literally my best friend. And she was like, hey, I forgot to call you earlier today, but we're on our way to the lake and we're gonna get you. Yeah. She's like, we're like 15 minutes away, but I forgot to tell you. And I was like, oh, I guess I'll get ready then. Right. And so that is literally, like, I do think that's divine intervention. That's definitely divine
intervention, but it also tells me that you were not there yet.
No, I wasn't fully ready. I just didn't see another solution. Yeah, I didn't see another solution at the time for everything that I was going through, and especially because it was like I had held this perfect facade for so long, and then those people coming to my house and then going to my school and telling everybody. Now all of a sudden the teachers are like, Tess, are you okay? Like, is your mom okay?
You're like, now it's a reality.
Right. I'm like, now it's real. Now I have to face it. Now people are worried about me, and I'm like, I don't want anyone to be worried about me. Like, I was like, I can handle this. Like, I'm fine, but I wasn't fine, and I couldn't handle it. Yeah,
we end up with abusers.
Exactly. And so the cycle continues, and that's literally a huge reason why I ended up in one of the relationships that I was in for a really long time, because honestly, it was like I wanted so bad for my mom to choose me. And choose me over the drugs, choose me over the addiction, choose me over,
for you to fix it.
And and because she put me in that position of being the one. Like, I was like, from the time that I was little, I can't, like, my mom has always been like, you saved my life. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. Like, you're the reason I didn't, like, literally, like, from as old as I can remember, my mom has always said that to me. And I'm like, but that's not my job. No. It's not my job to do that. Like I didn't save your life. You made dumb decisions. You didn't even raise me. Like, stuff like that. Yeah. So like it's just all of those things. And like, my mom is still an addict. Like, and it's still, and then the other part of it for me, besides just the like ideation of it all, is my mom would attempt often. So
then you saw that.
Yeah.
Like a means of a way out. So with
100%.
That's a good point. 'Cause now with, our children and my son and David had a daughter too.
Yeah.
So she's my stepdaughter, and we have to, they're great kids, and she is an awesome child. She is doing really well, and again, I don't want to bring her into this heavy stuff, but I will say she is a remarkable young lady and doing really, really good things, and she's overcome a lot, and she is like really shining star in wrestling, like doing good in school. And so, but you know, we have to realize too, like we had to be like, this isn't a thing. You guys, this will never be an option for you.
Right.
This is not a way out. This is not a means to an end. So get that out of your heads real quick, and this will never be okay.
Yeah. And that's what brought me to the conclusion. And I know this is going to be really hard for some people to hear, but you know, when you decide, I'm going to kill myself, I'm going to take my own life, I'm going to do this, that is the most selfish thing.
And that is a really unpopular opinion. And it is though. Because
it's so selfish.
Look, I never got to past the ideations. Like, I think I was probably 14. Remember how we talked about the and the poems?
Yeah.
I was the hot topic, punk rocker, gothic, like, oh, I'm going to go lay on the train tracks. Like, I never got to the point where I was like, I'm going to plan it. Or actually, I was such a fucking wuss. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I wouldn't even try. Like,
girl, that's why I was gonna
I've never
pills.
tried drugs because I was like, I'm scared. So
I was like, well, I don't want to hurt myself, so I gotta take pills. Like, I was like, the only thing I can
and
do.
dark humor, dude, you gotta laugh at this shit sometimes.
Sorry.
Like, it's obviously not funny, but that's pretty funny. Or like, but I tried. The cutting didn't work out.
No,
so
I was like, oh, not gonna be it for me.
Yeah.
So
gotta find something else.
Well, actually, what worked was like when I found this is crazy, but like Jesus, that like actually helped a lot.
Okay, so I had to take like a break there.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I'm glad your best friend called you.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
So.
Me too.
But part of me is like something else would have happened. Like, it wasn't your time yet.
Right.
I don't think you were ready. And you know, we'll never know. But I think, you know, what if you're sitting there in the bathtub and they fell into the drain, and then you're like, ooh, like something would have happened. I feel like something would have happened.
Yeah.
And that's why I say it can't be too much of a responsibility of those around you, because, and honestly, when somebody decides that, you could have like the whole world come up to you and tell you that you're loved or that don't do it, and you're still going to do it.
Right. Because you've decided.
So it's one of those really gray areas, and that's why it's so complex and nobody will ever understand it. But, so, you know, back to where we left off. So now we're in the aftermath, you know, it's a wild scene. Like, you know, let me tell you, obviously people that haven't experienced like death,
right,
in this type of manner, there's a little bit longer drawn out. There's investigation. There's, you know, obviously the coroner has to come, and that takes a while.
Right.
So mind you, this was outside.
Right.
So mind you, there's crowds. This is outside, and this is at our home, but you know, people hear what happened.
Yeah.
You know, and so there's drones. People are flying. So,
oh my God.
Which was upsetting. And I was going, get out of here. And there was some people looking over. There was like a wall that like separated the alleyway to like some businesses. And there was people over the wall with cell phones. And, you know, that was upsetting to the family, obviously, and myself. And even the cops were like, get out of here, you know, get the fuck on out of here. Like, move it along.
Obviously,
like,
I can understand the
obviously
the
that he's covered at this point.
Yeah.
But
the want to know what's going on.
Not everything's covered.
Yeah. Like, if you see that something is going on, you see that something is covered, mind your fucking business.
Let me tell you, it changed my perspective on, and this sounds stupid, or maybe it sounds insensitive, but it changed my perspective on like passing a car accident or passing something like that when people are filming it or they're looking. Dude, I don't even do that now, because I'm like, that's somebody's family member.
Exactly. I don't do that.
That's somebody's family member, and you see people filming and they're like, oh shit, like, and I get it, you don't understand exactly the
right,
the depth of what you're doing,
right,
but that's somebody's gonna get a phone call that's gonna fuck up their day and life, maybe, or a long time. So
exactly, it's just insensitive.
It's insensitive.
And it's gross. Like,
it's
nasty
and I didn't
behavior.
really think much about it. I mean, I always did. I was like, dang, that sucks. Like when I see people filming that, but like it really changed my view on that. Like, even if I pass a car accident, I'm like, I don't even look. Like, you know, let that person, whatever happened, hopefully it's not a bad outcome. And if it is, you know, there's a long road for all those people involved.
Exactly. Yeah.
But so, you know, then I'm left with the, do we need to call anybody? That's the cops. And I said, well, no, I cannot have you call like his mom, and I need to make that call.
Yeah.
I don't know why I felt, I think it's because I didn't want her to get the call from a stranger.
Yeah.
So I made that call, which was not easy. And again, I'm respecting the privacy of, you know, like his mom and other people involved and family members. I'm not going to be like, oh, and this was their reaction. That's not my story to tell. Obviously, it wasn't a good reaction.
Right.
And that wasn't an easy phone call to make. So there's that. And then my mom's calling me, and she is unhinged. My mom does not do well with this type of stuff. And she is in the street screaming, because here's the thing is, when my mom got that phone call, my mom and dad were visiting my brother in San Diego in college. They had to pull over. Like, people had to come out because my mom was in the street screaming.
Yeah.
But they got that phone call, and my mom was convinced in her heart that they were not being, I didn't call them.
Right.
That they were being told a lie, and that Logan and I were actually not with us anymore. And so my mom had convinced herself that I was dead.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
So she's like, until I talk to her,
Right.
I do not believe anything anybody's saying. They're just trying to make sure that I don't completely lose my mind.
Yeah.
So now we have other layers. There's a lot of layers. So my son got the phone call, and he said, is my mom okay? So now there's a level of trauma where people are like, but is Heather okay?
Right.
Not that they're dismissing. I mean, people were completely devastated and freaking out. But now they're like, okay, what about Logan and Heather?
Right.
Where was everybody? What I need to know
what
more.
even happened. Yeah.
So my mom, you know, that was really traumatic for her, because she was already upset and screaming, and she was, you know, just not the initial shock of it all, and then the thought of me on top of it.
Right.
So, you know, my mom showed up. Now I have like trauma intervention specialists there, which they send just for people that don't know, when there's something like this that happens.
Right.
They show up. They're like volunteers that work for essentially the police department.
Yeah.
But they're civilians, and they are trained in this situation, and they were there like for hours, but they were talking to me. They were giving me resources. But at that point I was like, I don't
no, it's not the
know
time.
anything about any.
Yeah. That's the only thing about stuff like that is like, okay, I understand, because my bonus dad was the chaplain,
Pastor?
Yeah, the pastor. The one that adopted me. Yeah, but he was the chaplain.
Yes, I'm like, I
and like being there with someone initially, yeah, that's important. But like,
because they help with a lot of grief.
They do, especially that initial like, yes, it did happen.
Yeah,
it did. You're like, yes, you're in shock. This is happening. But like when it comes to like providing the resources and stuff, like, oh no, they're not gonna. No, I'm not gonna remember.
Yeah,
I just saw something like
they're giving me like folders, and I'm like, but I will say, again, God. At this point, I had no faith. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But God, I was sitting on the stairs still. It's starting to calm down. I believe the coroner came and did the whole sorry for your loss, shook my hand. I watched them take him. Now, let me tell you let's just add to the levels of trauma.
Right.
And again, please do not listen to this if you don't want to hear it. It is my story, and I had to live it. So I do apologize if it is something that you don't want to hear, but just put it on mute. But hazmat came. So hazmat had to come, which, let me tell you, I had to listen to the shovels scraping in the ground. And one of my neighbors came out and happened to walk out on that. And so now I have all these people that I'm trying to make sure are not like traumatized. And I'm like,
but
how do I damage control at this point? So I had to go into like that mode. But, you know, so eventually I go into the house. I do. It's like hours later.
Well, yeah.
And I said, okay, I got to go in the house. Like, this is insane. And obviously now, I believe, yes, Alana had come and taken Logan to, I forgot about that part. That was like a big part.
Yeah.
She said, me and Tim, which is her husband, very close friends of ours, we're going to take Logan to Chuck E. Cheese. Like something out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not the, like, let's go get him distracted and trust me, that child has not been sheltered from this whatsoever. We had to dive in deep, and he knows exactly what happened. But at that moment, it was like, get him away from this scene.
Right.
And
because he doesn't need to see anything else.
Right.
Like, he
and now
already
people,
seen
like I said,
enough.
when my mom showed up, I am so grateful he wasn't there, because then my mom got there.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm getting phone calls, people screaming, people crying, family,
Right.
everybody's hearing about this. And I'm still like not even sure what just happened.
Right.
So my mom shows up, and all I hear her screaming is his name. And I'm talking in my house. I could hear her from the street. And she's just screaming like, you know, no, like, why? And she comes in the house, and she's just like grabs me, and I'm like, Mom, I need you to, now I'm in the mode of like taking care. What do? I start to take care of everybody else. I'm like, Mom, it's okay. Relax. Just please. The trauma people are trying to like mitigate. I still have the female officer there because I feel like she has gone through domestic violence herself, because something about her was very catering to me, and not just in a trying to be sensitive way.
Right.
The
like
trauma
she's
people,
been through it before.
The trauma people know her. They work with her. They work with a lot of the officers, and they said to me, I've never seen her be or stick around this long. Like it was an unnecessary amount of time.
Right.
And she had said some comments to me, like and again, I don't want to get too personal into what you know, he was doing at the time. You know, he was bodybuilding. I do think that is important, and I do think that, again, I don't want to start saying this is why or this is what happened, but he did use steroids.
Yeah.
I feel like that's important. And people, you know, that are out there listening, you don't know what that does. I don't know if that was part of the cause.
Well, I mean, anything that you're putting into your body when you're mentally unstable is not like.
And she had come up to me, and she goes, because I mean, she saw him.
Yeah.
And she goes, is he doing tren? And I was like, what? I was like, how do you know that? And she goes, I could tell. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And she goes, I've seen this outcome. And I was like, but again, I don't think that's the main cause. I think that if you have like some stuff going on, there's certain things that are going to intensify it. That's possible.
Right.
And again, his stuff has been going on for a very long time.
Right.
And again, I can't speak for him. So, or his childhood or like, you know, things that he went through.
Yeah, like the whole nature versus nurture debate, like
like I you know, that's something I'm not willing to discuss.
Right, yeah.
So, but so there's all sorts of layers. But before I went upstairs and I was sitting on the stairs, like I said, God intervened at that moment, and a man walks up, and I smile because it was like a life-changing moment, and he goes, you know, I kind of heard the commotion and understand like, you know, something heavy is going on and kind of know what's going on. And he hands me a card, and he goes, if you need anything, my name is Pastor Mike. And I said, okay. Like I'm sitting there like, I've had so many people tell me if I need anything, I'm like, whatever you say. And I held on to his card. And the people that gave me the folder, I feel like this is such an important part, but the people that gave me the folder, I put his card in there. And that was it. You know, eventually everybody leaves, and my mom's like, I'm not leaving. Duh.
Well, yeah.
So everybody leaves. And I remember my mom sitting there, and Logan sitting on the couch, and I'm sitting there, and it finally starts to calm down. And what happens? Logan lets out a cry and goes, I want my daddy. Aww. So yeah, that one gets me a little bit. And my mom is like, my mom's like, I know, baby. And she goes, I can't even like console him at this point. So I'm like, this is too much. Like, I'm like, how the fuck am I going to do this? Like, it hasn't even hit me that there's things that like, and it's not to be insensitive, but there's a whole income that just disappeared literally overnight. Like in a flash of
blink of an eye.
You know, like I almost just threw in some really sick dark humor there, but
yeah, I know. I thought the same thing. I was like, I don't know, we should do this.
So there's that, which, you know, and for some reason when it's something like that, I am not going to say that people were amazing.
Right.
I didn't want to do it. It was hard, but I was urged to, and friends made me GoFundMes and meal trains, and it didn't go as far as someone like Hattie died of cancer. You know, it got thousands of dollars, but you see something like that, but for some reason, when it's something like a suicide, there is less compassion. There was compassion, so I don't want to discount all, I mean, people like I said, I had incredible people there for me.
Yes.
I don't know that I would have
100%
be here if I didn't,
because
it was too many layers of, like I said, now I'm like, oh my gosh, our children,
because there's other people,
like the kids, like there's so much here going on. Bradley, my son, he didn't come home for 2 weeks because he couldn't, and then finally he was like, Mom, I needed to be there for you, but he was like, he like couldn't even come home. He stayed at Ani's house. He was like, I can't go there.
Like when you go home, it's real all of a sudden. Like that's the thing, and that's why you were stuck outside for so long, like this multiple hours. If
I just sit out here,
because if you walk inside that house, it's real. Like that's the hardest part about it. Like it's the same. Like I
said
get
with
it.
the school, like it became real. Like you can't run from it anymore.
You can't, and it's like, oh my God, like everything changed, and like you have no choice. Like there's
like
no,
this is
like,
and that was something too, is like the finality of like being like, okay, I don't have a choice to be like, well, you know, like if somebody divorces you, like they're like, they walk in one day and they're like, I'm leaving you, like it's you like, still have like a little bit of like, well, let's talk about this, like,
exactly.
This was like the fact that there was so lack of control on my part that I was like, how do I accept this? So now there's another layer of, I had this weird fear. So I could not have lights off. So that night, every light needed to be on. I didn't sleep. I don't think I went to sleep till like 4 o'clock, but I was so exhausted at one point. But that went on for like 6 months. My electricity bill, I had to call them and be like, this is what's going on, and I like need help with this bill. And my electricity bill was like $2,000 a month. Tessa, I'm not kidding you, to the point where it was 1950. I'm not kidding you, to the point where I had to have like closet lights on. Like I'm talking during the day, like every light is on, like stove lights, like, and I'm not talking like turn off and then on at night. Like I'm talking 24/7 on everything. Every TV had to be on. Like I don't know what it was, but I was scared. Like I guess because of what it was like you said, like seeing a horror movie,
and because you're scared that
scared
it's
after the horror movie.
Anywhere you can't see, you're afraid it's right there.
It's like right there.
Like that. I understand the dark thing completely, because I went like, through one of those as well.
Like a ghost, and I'm like, no, it's not like that. It's like when you watch a scary movie.
It's
like,
literally the darkness. That is what you're afraid of. Like it sounds so silly. Like I'm afraid of the dark. But no, I'm still kind of this way. Like I don't have to have every light on.
I have a TV on. I do not sleep without the TV on.
No, I sleep with not the TV on, but like Roku City happening, like, or like my outside. Like I
Something
don't like watch a show. Like I need it to be illuminated, because when it's dark, I'm like, no, it's the darkness. Like,
and I wonder if that's a trauma thing, because like I feel like people, not everybody is like that. I think there are a lot of people like that, but some people are like, I need pitch blackness to sleep, and I was like, I would be not okay.
Do you know what? Actually, funny enough, like I did go through a period of my time where I did sleep in like pitch black.
Really?
I did, yeah. And I was loving it, but not to laugh at trauma or anything like that. But ever since that one relationship, I've not been able to sleep in the dark again.
Okay. Well, and that's because I think there is an element of fear of the darkness, because when you're trying to survive, it's like darkness it takes away what you can see, and
right.
it takes away
any control you have. Like it's
yes,
the last,
yeah,
because it's like the last set. Like I rely on my sight. Like I rely on what I see, because I can't trust what I'm hearing. I can't trust what I'm feeling.
Like,
I can't trust.
Yeah.
I can't trust anything. The only thing I can trust is what I can see. And if it's dark, I can't see, and I need to see it.
Yeah.
So I totally understand that. Like
I think I went as far as there was a hallway. Oh my God, there was a hallway, and there was one of those closets that like. It wasn't a door handle. It like just opened. Like there was probably those little hinges inside.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Well, it didn't close all the way. There was like a slight crack. So I had to take duct tape and literally inside my house and tape that crack so I couldn't see it. Like I could not have anything. Like you said, I think that's a really good point.
It
like
is.
Not being able to see in that closet when it was dark.
Right.
Like because the closet's dark. I was like, no, I went as far as to buy like those lights that you like can stick on the wall. I need that house. You could probably see from space. Like you could probably literally see the house from space.
Yeah, like it was so
and
illuminated.
everything scared me. And so there's so much. So then there's like after it's all said and done, you know, there's nothing you could do. It's over. You know, now you have an element of like the after like funeral. Like obviously, you know, we weren't married, so his mom took that part over, which is I'm thankful for. But there's like that type of stuff. There's like I have to get like separate all his stuff to give to people. There was no will. Again, if you're young and you think things can't happen, make a will, have life insurance. Like you do not leave your family with, well, what do I do? Like something as stupid as like somebody wants like a shirt to keep or like jewelry or like write down what you want people to have. Okay.
No, that's so true, because when my grandma passed away, I got nothing. I didn't get a photo. I didn't get a figurine. I didn't get a stuffed animal. Everybody else took it. Everybody just took it. And they were like, oh, well, she's a kid. And I'm like, yeah, but this is like, I lived with her.
That's the other thing. Let me tell you, don't ever. And I also had to learn how to deal with people not understanding what to say.
Right.
And that's something that is a good point, is the kid thing. Oh, well, she's a kid. People, I remember the first time somebody told me, thank God Logan's little, kids are resilient. And I just about wanted to fucking lose my shit. My therapist is like, they mean well. Right. And I had to start to understand, like, when people say shit that you're like, what?
Why would you say that?
What? My son every night talks about what happened and says, I hope that, you know, he says that he, you know, I don't even want to get into that, but he knows what happened. Yeah. He knows what happened, and he'll tell you what happened. I'm talking like start to finish. But which he also did therapy. Yeah. But he, you know, there was nights where he would just wake up screaming. He was having night terrors. There was nights he didn't sleep. This was not just like you know, people see now, and I go, like, I think to myself, if they're just like, wow, look at how happy they are. And we are. Yeah. And we are. But that did not come without a ton of work. So much work.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
so let me tell you, and also finding God.
Yeah, no, I
will not.
If it weren't for my honestly, I'm being 100% real. If it weren't for my foundation in the church and like the people, like specifically from the church, like I would not have made it. Like I was the only person in my family that went to church. My mom didn't go to church, but my grandma did make me go. She didn't go, but she made me go to church. Yeah. And so, it was just one of those things. She was like, well, you need to have a good foundation, whatever. And I was like, yeah, actually, thank you so much, because if it weren't for that, and if it weren't for like the understanding that like, I mean, obviously as a child, like I was 9, so like a little bit older. So, and I do remember everything. Like I still remember everything. Like, yeah. Like, what do you mean? Oh, she's a kid. Like, they took me to Pizza Hut. I was 9 years old, and keep in mind, I'm 9 years old and hyperlexic. So I'm 9 years old and I can comprehend at a collegiate level.
Which I told you, Logan, I believe, has that.
Exactly. And so I'm like, why are we at Pizza Hut when I couldn't wake up grandma this morning? Like, what are we doing?
Why are we not talking about that?
And they didn't know how to answer my questions. And I'm like, and that's, I was a child, and everybody did like write it off as, oh, she's a kid. Like, it's fine. She's not going to remember. And I'm like, I'm 30 years old, and I still, like, literally a couple days ago I was crying over my grandma.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah,
like,
no.
I saw a meme and I was like, I miss my grandma.
Logan
Like,
remembers it. Logan knows exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Logan has not forgotten his dad.
Right.
You know, like I said, Logan, you know, Tyler is his dad.
right.
But Logan is not like, he calls it his dad in heaven.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
and all the
exactly.
bad stuff, you know, he doesn't need to know about right now.
No,
he
yeah.
doesn't understand. He doesn't know. He just knows that was his dad.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
And all that matters is that he felt loved by him.
Exactly.
So it's like the whole, oh, he's young thing. His therapist was like, no, that's not how that works. In fact, that is burned into his brain and probably will be a trauma unless he doesn't work through it, which is why I say,
Right.
you know, I've gotten into debates with people, specifically actually first responders, like some, you know, Tyler and one of his old co-hosts said a thing like, and I know they were joking to an extent
Yeah.
about like men getting therapy.
Yeah.
And look, I can't speak on a man's behalf. Obviously, I'm not trying to, but I can tell you this. I can tell you that in situations where you are in a state where you have no control or you are dealing with something really heavy or
Yeah.
even just your own thoughts.
Right.
Say you
Yeah.
didn't go through something, but you're
Right.
having a hard time. There is zero shame in getting some help. I know that therapy saved my life, and I know that therapy saved Logan in many ways. He started struggling with what they thought was like ODD, all sorts of stuff, and he is thriving.
Right. Yeah.
He is thriving now, and he I mean, we don't know what the future holds, but I'll
Yeah.
be sure, I'll tell you right now, I'll be damned if I let him go any direction or path that leads to what I feel is that.
Yeah.
You know what I
100%,
mean? Like,
do.
I'm 100% going to, if he needs to be in therapy, like, so I don't like when men say that, oh, you don't need to be in therapy just so you can, you want to know what David used to say? He'd say, I'm not going to go talk to a therapist about my problems that they don't give a fuck about. And a lot of men have that mentality. Like, why am I
They
going to go
do.
pay somebody or tell somebody about some shit like I'm a little bitch
Right.
and fucking cry to some person?
Right.
You're wrong. That's
You're-
not even what therapy is.
No, it's not.
Half the time I talked to my therapist, I wasn't like, so this was my childhood. Like, that's not,
No.
we talked about, like, there was times we talked about just like what I did that day. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
and that was cathartic. That was
It
therapeutic.
is because you need like when they to bring it to spirituality, like the words that you say are powerful. Like words are power. Like what you say, what you do,
speak.
what you speak into exist. Like you speak life so that life is produced, right? So like when you go and you get out all of the heavy things, the dark things, like literally speaking it, saying it, doesn't make it go away, but
Yeah.
it lightens the load.
Right.
Like it takes that edge off. It literally does. It's the same thing. Like,
One of their arguments was then you rely on a therapist to kind of like fix your problems, and or that you need to do that in order to like function, and you should be able to pick yourself up, and you should be able to, and there's an element in between there that I agree with, but I do
Yeah.
think that if you're at the point where you can't do that on your own,
Right, then
you
you
should
should
talk to
seek
somebody, and you shouldn't
therapy.
wait until that point,
Right.
because now you're trying to come out of that deep darkness
Right.
instead of kind of like coasting. And I think that's a really weird stigma, and I don't really understand where that macho bullshit came from.
Yeah.
But
because it's not, there's nothing wrong with seeking help. And that's the
It's
other
a
thing about
weird
it too.
thing.
Like I have never been in therapy regularly, although many argue I should have.
I wasn't until this. I had to.
Right. Exactly.
Like I was not functioning. I had to.
100%. And so I also know many people that go to therapy and then they don't go anymore. Like it's not
Right,
that,
it's not saying that
bad.
this is a lifelong
no,
thing.
it's, and some people think of it as a lifelong commitment. No, just go one time. See how
If
you feel.
And also, it also matters. It matters that the therapist,
Right.
Like
Oh,
my
it matters
therapist
so much.
mattered. She was again, I also think that was divine intervention. I think God sent her to me.
Right.
She is not a normal person. She is like an angel or something. I don't even know if she's real. Like she may or may not even exist. She is like, I am not kidding. But also back to Pastor Mike, that next morning I woke up. So speaking of like reaching out,
right,
which I think is important, I woke up and I shit you not, I felt like my body was crawling out of my skin.
Yeah.
Like something was happening physically.
Yeah.
I got up and I like jumped up and I was like, my mom's sleeping, Logan's sleeping. I started pacing. It's like 7:30, I don't know, in the morning. I'm pacing. I go from one room to the other. I start feeling like I am like not able to breathe.
Yeah.
My heart's racing. I needed to call someone. So, you know, and again, don't get discouraged if you reach out for help and it's not there.
Right.
That's the other thing that you need to learn.
Right.
Is I reached out to the trauma people that they told me to reach out to.
Yeah.
And who doesn't answer the phone? And I was like, okay, that's okay. That's okay. I was like, fuck. So what do? I find Pastor Mike's card.
Yeah.
I call him. He doesn't answer the phone. That's okay because he calls me back shortly thereafter. And I was like, I'm not okay. I don't know what that means, but I know that I'm not okay.
Right.
And he was like, okay. It's obviously he's trained too.
Yeah.
He was actually trained in like recovery and kind of like, I guess you could say trauma. Like he dealt with that type of situations or with those types of situations. So I was like, I don't know exactly what's wrong, but something's wrong.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, it felt anxiety. It felt like anxiety, but like on a level of like fight or flight.
No, that's
like I wanted to run.
It's like a full-blown panic attack.
Yeah,
It's
like
an
I was like, I
actual-
physically need to like run.
Yeah. No, I completely understand
That
one.
went on for like 6 months. I did EMDR. I did lots of therapy. I had to go 3 times a week with my therapist with Zoom because I had to be able to like process this. EMDR. Also, anybody who has PTSD or has seen anything heavy EMDR, do not discount it. Try it. It works. But I put in the work. My therapist kept saying, and yes, I will toot my own horn. My therapist kept saying, this is all I ask for from people. It is not magical. Nothing is magical.
Right.
That's like saying, I'm going to work out once and lose weight.
Right,
Like everything takes work. I put in the work.
And work, yeah.
I was like, I am not going to live my life like this. I'm not going to constantly be scared. I'm not going to be driving and have a flashback of that image on the freeway with my son, which happened once.
Right.
And I had to pull over on the 405 freeway, which is a huge freeway in California. And I was like, you know, at one point I finally like the light switched and I was like, this can't be my life. I'm not living my life like this. And my life has to be now for me and my children and family and not for him.
Right.
It was for him for 8 years. And it was for him after, because I was like you said, doing the damage control, doing the typical abuse survivor mentality and behavior.
Exactly.
We go in to protect our image and protect their image because you feel,
and you don't want people to know how bad it actually got. Like it's just
because I'm like, I went through all that for this to happen. And this, now I'm like totally fucking traumatized. I almost felt like an idiot.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because the thing is, like, you know the signs, you see the sign, and like in hindsight, everything was like, oh, I should have left then. I should have left then. I should have left then.
Yeah.
Duh. But like when you're living in it, it's so different. Like,
which I did, and like you did, like we did.
100%,
They leave, we
like,
leave, but you always.
Yeah. It's just it's an addiction. It's like a drug. It really is. It's that like. This thing
they tell you.
They make you rely on them.
They scare you.
Yeah.
Into thinking A, there's nobody else that's going to want you or that's out there for you.
Right.
And B, they're going to, I hate to say this, I'm sorry, but they're going to make your life a living hell. He promised me that many times.
Yeah. Yeah. It is like that. It really is. Like and it's like they take away your sense of like your entire agency. Like
self-worth.
Yeah. My body is for you to use when you want it
my emotions
are
everything.
for you to use. My everything. Like I am what you want me to be whenever you want me to be it, and that's all I can be, because I never know what you want me to be. Like ever.
Well, and then there's going to be the people, you know, like I said, the people that know us or well, it wasn't always all bad, and I'm not saying it was. Obviously, we wouldn't have been with this
if something
person.
was all bad all the time.
Like, this story is about what happened, and obviously we know that there was times where, you know, he took Logan to the park. He took Logan and you know, again, I don't want to say all our children's names. There is one that's older, but took her and Logan to the park, and did things with them, and went to school events. Like, I'm not saying that none of that existed, right, and it's, and you're not even saying that humans aren't worthy of redemption.
That's not what it is, but that's not what happened.
That's not what happened. That's not what happened. And I spent a long time defending that and a long time living that. So this is my story of what I went through, and how, you know, for anybody else that's gone through like widowhood or losing someone just in general, not even just a partner, the father or mother of a child, you have to put in the work. You need to heal yourself. You need to do something. It will not happen on its own with God and with help. I'm telling you right now, it is too heavy to do on your own, especially something like this. You have to surrender.
100%. Like, and you do, like, no matter all of it, you have to surrender to it, because you have to surrender to the pain. You have to surrender to the fact that you're going to be happy sometimes. Even though you feel guilty as fuck, you're going to have those moments. You have to surrender to all of it. Like, you have to let yourself go. You have to. It's the only way, because if you don't, it's like, have you ever seen Harry Potter?
I have.
Okay, so
I feel like you were scared to say that.
In the first, I was like, have you seen Harry Potter? In the first,
I don't know if you know, but I'm also a Star Wars nerd, so there's that.
Okay, so in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, in the first one, they go through that door where the 3-headed dog is, and they lay on those things.
I'm like, yes, I know what you're talking
about. And they lay on those they fall on those things, and I can't remember what they're called, but basically the premise is, if you struggle, they get tighter, but if you relax, yes. Exactly.
I'm like, I know exactly what you're talking about, and exactly the scene you're talking about.
Yeah, so it's exactly like that. If you can fight and fight and fight and fight and fight, but it will not let go of you until you surrender. Like, that's it. That's really
in Jesus' name.
No, literally, like, I'm preaching.
No, and that wasn't even. I feel like that wasn't even preachy. Like, no, but that I felt the Spirit. I felt the Holy Spirit in me just now. Like,
because it's one of those things. Like, and sometimes sometimes when I'm speaking, like, I do feel compelled to say certain things. And
100%.
Exactly. And so I'm like, no, I feel like this is the necessary thing to say, because you're like, I'm ready, I'm listening.
I'm excited.
I accept you.
No, yeah.
Exactly. But you really do have to, like, and that's like, I've seen so much tragedy and trauma, and like, and as of you, like, throughout my entire life, that like, I mean, unfortunately, I can say this, like, I've been through a lot. Like, every person that's close to me has, like, died, or, like, is an addict, or, like, literally,
which,
like,
my grandma, my aunt, doesn't make us special. No. Everybody's gone through shit. Doesn't make us victims.
100%.
Doesn't make us any different than anybody else. Yeah. But we are sharing our story. If you guys want to share your fucking story, then get on a fucking podcast and do it.
Say it.
So,
say it.
Like, but, I will say that I was angry at God, and then I even would say things like, there is no way there's a God that would do this to a 3.5-year-old. At that point, I was like, I don't even care about myself, but there's no way. And, you know, Pastor Mike, bless his heart, he never like was pushy,
but
he'd be like, he'd scripture me a lot. He'd be like, there's this scripture, and there's this, and there's that, and he would talk to me and tell me things like that, and, you know, my therapist would tell me things, and I was just like, no, and they'd be like, I know you don't understand it now, but there's reasons, and, you know, you will one day, and if not, you know, I pray that you will,
exactly. It is.
It was
crazy.
like, I was like, no, impossible. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are like that too. They're like,
Yeah.
Kathy Griffin, by the way, she said something along those lines, accepting an award. She says, a lot of people come up here and thank Jesus. She goes, I will say this. There is nothing that this award was gotten by or earned by that had anything to do with Jesus. It was like, Jesus had the littlest to do with this. And she was like, so she like said something else super gross and like demonic, because Hollywood is demonic.
Obviously.
But I was like, why did you have to say that?
Yeah. Right. And you don't have to say that. Like I that's the thing,
because
that I don't
that
understand.
tells me that you're dark, and
Yeah.
you're like, you either could have just said thank you to my family, but now you're putting down the people that thank Jesus.
Right.
Like, come on, dude.
Like, you don't have to do that. Like,
so but then again, when I was not well, and I think that I was struggling with darkness, I was like that. I was like,
100%.
Give me a break. So, if we had God in our lives, this wouldn't have happened. Or if I had God in my life, I'd be better off right now.
Right.
And then
the answer is no, but
correct.
But that's because that's not the,
that's not the point. Yeah.
That's not the point. But
right. So I was like, no. And I fought it for a long time because I didn't want to surrender that control that I've already lost control on everything else.
Right.
And now I have to give control to God.
Yeah,
What? Are you insane?
Yeah. Like, some people sound crazy. They're like, just give it to God.
And then
like,
I started dabbling with the universe and energy and crystals.
Yeah.
And that was a good thing. And here's why, is it led me to God.
100%.
So when I did that, I was like, no. And then eventually I started talking to Tyler, and he had just, I think it was like, I don't know how long before that, but it was more recent, had also like started finding his faith and became a Christian and, found God and was called and was, spoken to by the Holy Spirit. And I thought to myself one night, I was like, the universe is God.
Bingo.
And I was like, wait. I was like, hold on. I was like, God is everything. And then I had that moment.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, wait. I was like, I'm confused. Hold on. I was like, that's what's been missing.
It's everything. Yeah. It's literally, God is literally the thing that holds everything together. I don't know if you know about the lamelin thing, the little microscopic things that actually hold our bodies together that are shaped like crosses.
No.
Do you know about that? Okay. No. Okay. So quite literally, like, God's not this man sitting on a throne in heaven dictating the world.
Right.
That's not what's happening. God is
everything.
Your breath, it's the air, it's the trees, it's the people. He's in you. Like, it's everything. Like, and so I think that a lot of times when people like hear those kind of things, they're like, oh my God, you're into that woo woo crazy I'm like, no, but like, yes, I am. But it's like, no, but like, because if you think like going down like the route of like tarot cards or like crystals or like anything like that, well, where do the crystals come from? Who put the crystals on the planet?
Which I'm anti tarot card. I'm anti tarot card.
Anti tarot.
I went to a medium.
Yeah.
And I was quickly told how demonic that is and how you're opening into what you're opening up, and I was like, oh, I didn't know. So that's the thing, is I didn't know, and this is before I dove into this faith of mine. And I think that it's silly when people are like, oh, well, you just became a Christian like a year ago or 2 years ago. It's like, okay,
I could have became a Christian 30 seconds
5
ago.
seconds ago. Oh yeah, I surrendered, and I'm still surrendering and learning how to
100%.
and figuring it out. And that's the beauty of it. Right. Is he gave us free will. Exactly. And then because he knew people are going to sin. Right. And when I was reading the Bible, and that was talking about that, like, he decided to give free will.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. Like, what would be the point of a God that forced you to choose him? then there would be no
that
power
takes
in God.
away
It takes
the
away
power,
from
right?
exactly. Like it's the choice. It's the
choice
decision.
to
That's where the
surrender.
power is. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not in the like. Oh, I'm gonna pray to my little genie in the bottle. No, like
Yeah.
God can't intervene because
Right. He can't. Yeah.
can't intervene.
And exactly. So
because
that's
that
what I
takes
had to
away free
learn.
will. Yeah.
Because I'm like, how could he let this happen? How could he allow this?
Right.
Yada yada yada.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, and again, even Pastor Mike, he would say, I'm a human. I make
Right.
mistakes. I sin.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole basis
Yeah.
of this.
Oh, bro, I be sinning.
Oh yeah.
So, like,
Right. Woo, girl.
I be sinning
So-
for real.
So it's like and then with Tyler, then I was like, oh, it like all clicked.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it wasn't because of him.
Right.
But it was because of him.
Right.
And then what happens is like nothing could take us apart. Nothing
Right.
could pull us apart at that
Right.
point. And now I finally am like, okay, I alone cannot do this world or life.
Right.
Nobody can.
Right.
But you have to be the one to, you know, see that and feel that and surrender and that's
Right.
hard for people to do.
It is.
And
I
I
think
think
it's so
that-
hard for people to even like surrender to the fact that there is a higher power.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because like okay, like the Big Bang Theory, come on. Literally nowhere else in the entire existence of history ever has perfection been created from chaos. It's never happened. But you're telling me this one time.
How is it possible that there is scripture for everything that happens in life?
Your life, yeah.
How?
It's literally
How?
like exactly. It's the guideline. Like it's like that's the thing. I also think that people they don't understand about like reading the Bible and stuff is they're like all these rules I have to follow. No.
No,
You don't
they're
have to.
Not at
you
all.
You don't have to do anything. It's just like there's a reason God says not to have sex before marriage, and there's a reason God says not to be, you know, blasphemous, and there's a reason, and it's because if you do those things, what happens when you are just hooking up with a whole bunch of people? You're left feeling empty. You're left feeling abandoned. You're left feeling used. You're left feeling all of these horrible things that you wouldn't have been feeling had you not let someone into your body that is your own temple.
Yeah.
And so it's just like little stuff like that. People just take it like as like, oh, well, I guess if I'm not perfect, I can't be a Christian. I'm like, literally, I dare you name one Christian that was perfect. Because Jesus wasn't Christian. He was Jewish.
It doesn't.
Like,
and he wasn't perfect. Nobody
he wasn't
was.
perfect.
Like,
well,
that's.
Jesus was, but
Well,
allegedly. There was Mary, the Mary of it all, but the Magdalene. No, I'm sorry.
but that's the whole point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess he was perfect. He died for our sins.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
that. Like,
Yeah. But that's what I think. Like, I think that like that part like sticks to a lot of people. They're like, perfect person. I'm like, no, he was a human. We'll just say that he was human.
Human form, yes.
Human form. Human
Part of
form. Yeah, he was
the
mostly
on-earth
human.
God, yeah.
He's like at least half human.
Right.
Like
So it's like, you know, without having some kind of faith, like I think that and what's the beauty of too is once I started healing and doing like intense inner work, Logan's healing, we're starting to move forward.
right.
You know, and that's something that people have guilt too, is like moving forward is like I started putting my life and myself first
Right.
before the person who is not even here anymore.
Exactly.
And my life started improving. You know, I had put on like 70 pounds. I'm talking like
Yeah.
I didn't even look right.
Yeah,
like there was a
depression,
lot.
I mean-
I had like a lot going on. And no, like, and it's funny because when I started doing all this, that's when like I obviously got in touch. Like me and Tyler started talking,
Right,
and
yeah.
we became part of each other's life, which, you know, we both believe was.
Yeah.
And again, it's not God made it happen.
No.
Like that's when
It's
people say
just-
like with divine intervention,
it's
like
the
we just said
energy.
God has free will.
Yeah.
But it's that finding our faith and opening certain doors and closing certain doors, like that's what our decisions
Yeah.
that were guided by faith, whether we knew it or not.
Yeah.
brought us together.
Yeah, 100%.
So then it's like, then we started, and I still was being like, no, the universe. I still was like arguing with him, and he never was like, no, you need to do this. And I was like, okay. And Pastor Mike, nobody was ever like, you have to do this. Luckily I found it on my own. Yeah. But I never was like, okay, I'm going to because you're Christian, or because this person's Christian, or because my friend's Christian. Never was I like, obviously I'm not that type of person. No. Ever. And, it's just how it happened. And I still think that had I not done that, I mean, I don't think I'd be like nearly as healed as I am now. I think I'm still healing. Nobody's ever healed.
100%.
But
and it's been like 30 seconds since that happened.
Right. Like I think that we wouldn't have as strong of a marriage that whoever wants to say isn't. Yeah. Because it's not been so long. Yeah. Can say. But time, as we've said multiple times, does not exist. And it does not matter.
Time's not real. Clocks are. So.
I see people that are together for 3 months get engaged and be in the best relationship they've ever had. I've seen people be together 10 years, get engaged, and have a shitty marriage. Yeah. In fact, you lived it, and I've watched it, and both of our last relationships were shitty. Yeah. And so that's what happened. That like debunks the whole fucking theory right there.
100%.
So, hi. Okay. So anyways, we're definitely going to do 2-part.
Yeah, it has to be.
So, because I want to talk. So the whole point is we're not going to end it there. My story does not end there, but the whole point of this episode is to get to the other side of whatever we're going through. Right. And I really thought at one point, I was like, there's no way I can get to the other side of this. The PTSD, the flashbacks were wild until I got EMDR. Like literally just seeing, there was certain images. There was one image in particular that we had to do a lot of EMDR on that like I could not get out of my head. And I mean, for purposes of this episode, it was what comes out when somebody gets a gunshot wound to the head. Right. There was certain things that I saw that on the ground that it was like, I would literally see it throughout the day. Yeah. Like, and you see it and you're like looking at it like you're standing in that spot again, looking at whatever it is that you're looking at. And you're like, I literally go like shake my head, like trying to like shake it out of my head. And I was like, dude, I'm like so tired of seeing this. Like, I don't want to fucking see it anymore. Like it would get frustrating. Yeah. And you like can't get rid of it.
Right. And it's also one of those things like once you see, you can't not look, you can't not see it. You can't
you can't just know be like, that it's gone. There. But let me tell you, EMDR does that shit.
That's good.
I don't know if you've ever heard of EMDR.
I've heard of it, but I don't really know.
But it uses like, it's crazy. Yeah. But it basically what it does is it takes traumas and it takes things from literally it's like scientific from one side of your brain to the side of the brain that's more of a memory, and it processes it to the other side. So now instead of it being a relived trauma, it's a memory. It exists, it doesn't wipe it out, but there was times where she'd be like, okay, and she would like do this thing and she'd be like, think of it, think of the image, think of it, like really think of it, and then we'd do something like 10 times where she'd literally go like this and you have to follow it with like your eyes, and she'd be like, now I want you to think of the image. And I'd be like, there was one time I was like, holy shit.
Like, I can't. Yeah.
It's the weirdest. I was like, are you doing some kind of mind control shit on me right now? Cause I don't like that. I was like, is this like hypnosis?
Is this MK
I thought
Ultra?
It was like
Yeah. Are we doing MK Ultra right now?
Fucking freaking out. I was
That's
like,
what it actually is.
Cause I was like, I don't want any, hypnosis or fucking mind control. She's like, no. This is like rapid eye movement. Like it actually has your brain tricked to like say, okay, this needs to like
switch it.
This is not happening anymore. Yeah. This is not happening anymore. This is done and over with. Right. It is now a memory. Right. So, again, if you need to seek therapy,
absolutely,
or get EMDR, even if you're a man, stop that bullshit. Stop that bullshit where that you're weak if you do it. And, I mean, come on, especially nowadays, like, with all that's going on in the world and all that's being said and everybody has an opinion and don't tell anybody. How about that? Go to therapy and don't tell
Keep it to
anybody.
yourself.
Keep it to your fucking self. You don't need to post it online. You don't need to post it on
you don't have to do
Instagram.
any
You don't
of
need to
that.
post it on this, that, and all the above. Just go.
Yeah, just go.
How about that? And then nobody knows that you're doing it.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying not to talk to people or be
Right, 'cause
ashamed.
there's no shame
but
in
if
it.
you
Right.
really truly are just like, my boys are gonna fucking give me shit.
Mm-hmm.
A, get new friends. B, go do it without telling anybody.
Yeah.
And then if you need to reach out and seek help through your friends as well, then do it. And if they're not there and they're gonna give you shit, fuck them.
No,
Get
literally.
new friends, dude.
Get
Like,
new friends. It is actually, I'm advocating for getting new friends. Just get new friends. Like, I literally, like, one thing I've literally, when I was younger, I moved around so much. Like, literally, I'm talking, we moved, like, I'm not joking, probably, like, in the span of 7 years that I lived with my mom, like, 24 times.
jeez.
We moved so much, and I'm great at making friends. Literally,
Yeah.
like, this is literally a life hack. I'm literally telling you a life hack right this second. When you meet someone new, you ask them, do you have anything exciting going on? For 2 reasons. One, you don't want to automatically make a friend on something negative.
Right.
One. But 2, this is a psychology trick. They are going to automatically associate you with excitement.
Oh,
And so they
I
will
like
want
that.
to be around you. And
Right.
so, I mean, I do it to all my clients too. Like
so anything going on this
No, I
weekend?
literally always say, do you have anything exciting going on this weekend? I always say that, one, because I actually genuinely want to know.
Right, and it starts
And-
off as a positive, and it also shows that
Exactly.
you have an interest in what they've got going on.
It's a very good conversation hack that if you're bad at making friends or you're like scared, literally just ask, I don't know what to say. Ask if they have anything exciting going on. And if they say nothing, all right, move on, next person, whatever.
Right.
But somebody's going to be excited to talk to you.
Or they're gonna have something. And if
Yeah.
they're like, no, I don't really have plans, then
I
it
was like,
still
nothing?
opens up the
Yeah.
something.
Exactly. And then it's like, what about you? And then you answer. And guess what? Then, like, you find out if you have things in common. And if you do, great. Friendship. If you don't, awesome. Now you know you don't have anything in common with that person. Move
Yeah.
on. Like, it's fine.
But,
it's fine.
you know, moral of our story is, again, next episode, I'm going to have the guests on because it's just going to be too long without it. But they both went through similar things, you know, father of their children,
Absolutely.
spouse,
Yeah.
died by suicide, and also got to the other side. And I remember seeing them. They, you know, Lena especially, she, I don't even know how to explain how grateful I am because she like walked me through all
Yeah,
of this.
absolutely.
And she was like, what you don't realize is that it helped me too. Because she had been years in.
Yeah.
And she was like, you're going to be okay. But I understand that you don't understand that right now. But they'll explain their stories and how they got to the other side. And it's okay to be happy. It's okay to
Right.
move forward. I
Right.
am happier than I was before. I'm happier than I've ever been.
Yeah.
Like I am, and I can say this, I can say this and it's allowed. I am grateful that I ended up where I'm at right now.
Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying I'm grateful for his death,
No, God, no.
but that's what happened.
But
it's
yeah.
what happened. And I'm grateful that I'm here. I'm grateful for my husband. I'm
Right.
grateful for my children. I'm
Yeah.
grateful for literally being in this seat right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And I wouldn't be here had certain things not happened.
Exactly. Like, it's like
I
literally.
can't change that. Like,
Yeah.
so, and that's something that people feel guilty about is to be like happy. I'm not, again, it's not saying like, I'm happy that
Right.
somebody did something like that,
No.
but I'm happy with my life right now and
Yeah.
I'm allowed to be.
100%. And I
And
think
if
that's
you go
true.
through something and you want to live in the trenches, which I did in the beginning, and I get it, you have to go through that. You have to go through the stages. You are allowed to come out of those trenches
Yeah.
and you are allowed to be happy and you are
Yeah.
allowed to do that. And you should do that because your life
Right.
is
Because your life matters.
still going. You're still here.
Your life
You're still
matters. You're
alive.
still here. You're still alive. You
Yep.
have to do it for you.
Yep.
Like,
even people that have lost a parent, like somebody that's lost and they're
Yeah.
just like cannot come out of that darkness.
Yeah.
It's like you have to.
yeah.
You're still here. You need to live your life. And you can't feel
100%.
guilty for that.
And it sucks in the beginning.
Oh,
It really does.
Dude.
Tearing yourself out of bed, forcing yourself to get dressed. Oh my God.
oh yeah.
It's horrendous.
Oh yeah.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
So
I went to
like,
work. I mean, I had to.
What, you don't have a choice.
I fucking had to. Like,
yeah, corporate America.
Yeah, like it was either that or be homeless.
Right,
so
literally.
there's that.
Yeah.
But I had to support a family, which I did.
Yeah, you did.
And
you did a
luckily
great job.
I did have, I didn't have like financial support. I mean, I had donations in the beginning, but I had to figure it the fuck out.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just one of those things that's like really, it's, I am glad you made it through too, personally. Like,
Thanks.
Just because obviously I wouldn't be here either. Like,
right.
And all the things that like happened in my life that led me to here, but it just led us to being two people who, I mean, unfortunate circumstances, but have knowledge and experience and understanding, and we're both very empathetic.
We wouldn't be who we are.
Exactly.
You know how people say that, like, oh, it made us who we are, but it's fucking true.
No,
we
literally.
wouldn't be who we are right now had all those things not happened, right? Like, we would be somebody else or something else.
100%.
We wouldn't be in this spot right now.
Yeah.
Like, literally every single thing that happens in your life leads you to the moment you're in right now.
Exactly. And yeah, sure, it does take resilience, but it also takes vulnerability and softness and kindness and weakness and surrender. It takes those things too. Like, it's not just be strong, be good, be hard, flex your muscles.
That's the other thing. And I guess we can start wrapping it up there, but as we talked about getting help if you need it, being strong all the time is not necessarily strength.
No.
Accepting and surrendering and understanding that you either need somebody to talk to, whether it be a friend, a therapist, God, whatever it is also strength.
Yes.
Like coming back out of that too, not staying there, not staying in one or the other. Like you have to
can't get stuck in that victim, like, because you are a victim. It is. But
that's what somebody said to me once. Like, you are a victim, and I was like,
Yeah,
but am I, or
something bad happened to me? Yes.
Am I like a survivor and a warrior?
Exactly.
Because the victim thing,
I don't. It turns into the woe is me, and I don't.
Which I did do that at first. I felt victim. I felt like, how could this happen to me?
Right.
How could this happen to us? Like,
right.
And then I was like, that's got to stop.
Yeah, because it does.
That's got to stop.
That's a hard thing for people to hear too, though. So. I feel like we'll touch on that a little bit more in the next, because because I have some thoughts and things to say, especially about like my mom and like that whole, because she never did. She's still alive, by the way,
right?
But she's attempted,
right?
I lost count. So like, it's just one of those things, like you have to
because she was like the woe is me and accountability. There's no accountability,
right.
And a lot of times there's a lack of accountability for that person. They're like, fuck it, if I do this, I don't have to deal with it. Everybody else does,
right?
Which again is hard for some people to hear, but until you go through it,
every other person around you, even people you don't think it's going to affect them.
Yep.
Like it just does. Like every single person that you have made any contact with in your life, it's going to affect them. So, maybe think twice, maybe call a therapist.
Definitely think twice. Definitely don't turn to substance abuse. Definitely don't, because I'm telling you right now, that's going to make it worse. It's not going to numb anything. It's going to open.
It just compartmentalizes things
that you don't want to open.
I'm very, very, very anti using substances to deal with problems. Like,
ain't gonna work.
No, like there are certain things that I really don't care about, but there, like when it comes to doing something to avoid the pain of something else,
like you're probably talking about like weed, I personally, it's not my thing, but like I get what you're saying, but like I also watched somebody who ended up not, speaking of the person we're talking about, that used that every day, and you know what, it stops working.
It does.
It stops working.
It does.
So keep that in mind too. You still have to deal with your shit,
right?
So
100%, no matter what, you have to deal with your shit. Like, and even like with that one specifically, like, yes, like, cause I have friends that are medically whatever.
Right.
Even
still have to deal with your shit. It's not going to be
your shit. Like, because what I've noticed, like, is like, I feel like sometimes it exacerbates the issue instead of like,
it can, and then you obviously you can't be high 24/7.
That's not.
So there's going to be moments where you still have to deal with the shit and the feelings, and be like, oh, okay, that should be a tool, not a solution. Okay.
100%.
So people use it as a solution. It's not.
It's not a solution. It's actually not a solution. And if you try to use it that way, it will just become a problem.
Really 100% will
really
be a
truly
problem.
will. Like, because, but I personally, like, I'm really weird about like all kinds of like, I'm like, yeah, sure. Take the Tylenol, but have you drank water today?
Right. I don't even take half the time. Exactly.
I don't like to take medicine.
No
like,
judgment here.
No,
take whatever the hell you want.
It's like,
we are talking about what we do and don't do.
Exactly. I'm like, you like, just try the natural alternative first.
Right.
Like, it's like, oh my gosh, like I have, I'm nauseous. Okay, try some tea really quick. And if that doesn't work, then go ahead, and take your,
So Fran.
Thank you. I was like, what is it? It starts with a Z.
I know it from my surgeries.
No, literally. So I was like, I know it from when I took that semaglutide. What is it?
Dude, I didn't even take the narcotics when I had surgery.
Really?
No.
You're crazy.
Because she was like, if you need it, take it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So I took Tylenol and ibuprofen.
Yeah.
I did take the nerve block, Lyrica, which helps with nerve pain.
Yeah.
But because I had lipo also.
Yeah.
LOL. Lipo.
A little bit of lipo.
So I needed that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to be tough girl. I was like on fire. Your nerves are burning.
Well, we have I think we have a whole other episode on how I feel personally victimized by the hospital and their prescriptions to people because it will start addictions.
Oh yeah, that's why I was like, you don't need the
addictions.
I did not need it. I fought through it. I took I was taking Tylenol and Advil. They did the whole like every 6 hours, but you do both of them. The cocktail like staggered 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like, it works.
Well, I mean, I listen to Joe Rogan sometimes, and not that I put a lot of credit into everything that he says, but he was talking about one time he went to get his wisdom teeth taken out, and the doctor gave him like a whole bunch of narcotics for it.
Yeah,
like,
they'll give you like Vicodin and all sorts of stuff.
He was like, oh, but it doesn't hurt, and the doctor's like, oh, it'll hurt, and he was like, no, I don't think I need it. Like, I think I'm good. Like, I really actually think that I'll be fine because like I literally have no pain at all. And the doctor's like, no, you have to take
like, you're gonna need this.
Exactly. Yeah. So he takes it home with him. He never has pain.
No.
The whole time he didn't have pain. Yeah. And so it's like, now I have all of these things now, but how easy it was for that doctor to prescribe that to me with me saying, I don't have pain. Yeah. I don't have anything.
Yeah.
The doctor's like, take this anyway. Like, that's crazy.
That's the other thing. If you do go seek therapy for anything and they're just like, here's some medication.
No, go to a
not
different
saying
place.
I'm anti-medicine. And if you really need it, and that's, you've exhausted all other things. And I'm talking about like, you're severely mentally ill.
Right.
Okay.
That includes you've tried working out too.
Right. Like, also you've tried everything that you can try. And that's the point. But you go see a therapist and the first thing they say to you is, here's this, this, and this. You're still not dealing with your shit. So deal with your shit.
I hate that.
So that's it. Deal with your shit. Find God.
Yeah. Find God. Deal with your shit.
Find God. Deal with your shit. Have a nice day.
What a funny sentence. Find God and deal with your shit.
And by the way, I know. Not supposed to curse.
Oh.
So-
That. Oh. I'm like, what do you mean? God invented cuss words, didn't he? No,
I think you're definitely not supposed to curse, but I do have a problem with that. Yeah. And look, again, none of us are perfect.
Yeah,
I have a very big problem with it, and
it's fine.
I was raised that way. My mom talks like a sailor.
And listen, I think that God is funny.
See, and there we go, adding and finding loopholes and making our own rules as every good Christian does.
See, so for me, no, like
it's okay for us to do it. Okay,
right.
So I
actually talked with him and he signed a permission slip that I'm allowed to.
He said it's okay.
He said it's fine.
Okay, what's sorry, that? Lord, please forgive us for this.
No, honestly,
sacrilegious shit we're saying right now.
No, yeah, actually, we're like, we believe in God. He's our genie. No, like, what do we know? Like, oh, okay. No, God's just regular. Anyways, Almighty, not regular.
God's just regular. What?
I don't know.
I'm like sorry. Hitting myself.
Just the regular God. I'm not talking about any other.
Oh yeah, no, there is no other.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
okay,
we're going in. I don't.
Okay,
I was like, happened. Something happened to us mentally right now. We're like, not. I'm probably like having some kind of like PTSD. Like,
yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
Unhinged response that I don't know. Subconscious response that I don't know is happening. You are too. Like, we're probably like starting to like come back into reality.
What it is I made it this far in my drink this time, and I don't ever drink.
That's true.
Well, I only drink on this.
That's another thing. We're drinking, cursing. We're just
yeah, blasphemous. Your titties are out.
Oh
No,
yes,
like-
I've been told I'm. What did they say? I'm never gonna let it go.
No, it was like how can you hate on us when
not
you're
a Christian?
You have giant titties.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, okay, you're welcome.
Sorry.
Like I don't know what to tell
And
you.
if
Like,
somebody else wore this shirt, it would literally not look like this.
yeah.
So
It's what am I supposed to do?
like I don't know what to tell you.
No, I will say I did change out of the top I had on earlier.
Was it too much?
No, it was too much.
It was too far.
It was too far. Because it was like, and I was like, oh no. I was like, I can't do this. I wore it to brunch and then not gonna do it.
Yeah. See, we don't be doing it on purpose. Like,
Yeah. It's just
we wear t-shirts. Like, it's just whatever.
it's just boobies. Like
Get
get
how
over
about
it.
this?
Like,
Everybody
it's
get the fuck
totally
over
fine.
it.
No, literally, just close your eyes.
Yeah.
Don't
We've
even
gotten
look.
less hate though.
We have
because
audio
I
version, don't we?
Also try
Yeah.
not to go
Audio
near
version.
TikTok much.
Oh yeah, don't do that.
It's bad vibes.
It's
Bad
scary
vibes all
over
around.
there.
And not
But yeah.
always. Like we get support now. I think we found
Yeah.
the right side.
Yeah.
But like our last post is actually somehow not restricted.
Wow.
I've learned hashtags. Hashtags are important. You can't put like anything in TikTok. Like I took
Yeah.
out the conspiracy hashtag. I took out the
Oh,
trafficking
yeah.
hashtag. I took out all those and it didn't get restricted. So
Oh,
but I think one of our stalkers might have not had enough time to report it either.
Oh, true.
So cool.
That's
True.
true.
I think they
Sorry, I just
think they
silly.
I think before they got to blocking us again, they weren't able to report it fast enough. So
Sorry, that's just so funny. But yeah, that's true. I think we're at the end.
I think we're at the end. I think we've become unhinged
That's
at this
the
point.
end. Yeah, no, we're
and
at-
we will talk
yeah.
more about this in my story, which again is my story, and I can tell it how I want, and you don't have to like it.
Exactly. That's it. Don't listen if you don't like it.
That's it.
But-
Also,
Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe. Wait, are we doing that part? Is there
like,
something else
subscribe.
you want to say?
Well, you know, do the hotline. Call the hot. What's the hotline
yeah,
again?
like if you're like wanting
988.
to,
What is it? I'm having a
1-800. Hold
no.
on.
There's no 1-800. It's
Yeah, there is.
988.
Oh, like the fast one.
999. Can we edit this out?
Please, actually, I'm looking up what is the suicide hotline. What is the suicide?
And more importantly,
hotline?
get help before you get to that point. Because I'm telling you right now, that's the key.
Oh, it's 988. Yeah,
988. Yeah.
Dial or text 988, and you will be connected with help that is available. It is confidential, free support, 24/7 in the United States.
Don't be scared. Don't be
afraid.
ashamed. Just do it. Life is worth living. And you know what? You don't want to leave the people behind with a whole shit show. So take a little bit of accountability for that as well. Because people don't want to say that, and people do not want to put the accountability on the person. But I will.
Yeah. And so will I, because I've been through it. I've wanted to do it. It's selfish. So
It's selfish.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So we'll see
Don't
you
forget
next
to like,
time.
subscribe, comment.
And the next episode will be, again, 2 other stories, and then how they came out. It's all about hope.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
do it. You could be happy. You can have a great life. It's not easy.
Right. But it's possible.
Nobody ever said it was.
Yeah.
What is it?
What?
Whatever's.
Whatever. Wait, are you saying
Whatever's
whatever's meant to
hard-
happen or what?
They really hate us.
Girl, I can't.
Whatever's easy won't come. Whatever.
Oh, if it's easy, anything worth having won't come easily.
easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, girl.
Way to kill it. Way to kill the fucking quote.
No,
Nah.
sorry. Like, we just
Bye.
said bye.
Bye.
Oh my god, we are literally like so freaking. Oh my god.
Were we drugged?
What'd you put in this? What'd you put in this wine? It's wine, right?
It's like,
What'd you put in this drink?
In the shadows, I found my light. In the chaos, I found